All right, still two Grand Slam championships coming up, the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, and then Quail Hollow, the PGA Championships. He's the manager of the grounds here at the club at Shadow Lakes, and we're going to be here tomorrow night talking a lot of golf, but I had a chance to catch up with him today. So I want to talk to you about, obviously, you got Brooks Koepka coming off the big win at Erin Hills in Wisconsin. How do you feel about some of the courses that the USGA has been deciding to use, these public courses, for the U.S. Open Championship? Are you kind of like old school like me, more traditional courses like Oakmont, I think, are more suitable? It's just my opinion.
No, I agree. Personally, besides Pebble Beach, which, is a public course, I think that you could tell by the scores on Sunday that it's a beautiful course and it's a challenging course, but the scores were a little bit higher than what is normally indicative of a U.S. Open. And I think next year's venue at Shinnecock Hills.
Tell me about that course.
I think Shinnecock Hills is a great classic course on Long Island. And I think that it has the flavor of a classic course where your ground game really comes into play more so than what we saw this past weekend at Erin Hills, where it's more of an aerial game, which really favors the long hitter. I think that Shinnecock, you got to have a complete game. It's got to be you got to have a good ground game, short game. You're going to use all your clubs in your bag. So I think that you're going to have a more well-rounded game to be successful at Shinnecock.
Penn State University, this guy really knows his stuff, and we're so blessed to have him here in Beaver County. Names like Nicholas and Palmer. Jimmy Maggs spared no expense to get him here. That's a little hint for a raise, Jimmy Maggs. But anyway, he is one of the best. Talk to me about these big hitters. Brooks Koepka. I mean, they just explode off the tee. They're amazing. I have to ask you, some of the names that I mentioned, and you've been around this sport for decades, were there hitters like that when I was watching Arnie and Jack and Trevino and Player?
It's interesting you asked that question. When I was building a course for Gary Player down in Florida, Sarasota, called Laurel Oak, after we had done a walkthrough, and I would always ask him little tidbits because I always wanted to see what his feeling was on a variety of issues. And I asked him about Tiger Woods at the time was just coming on the forefront. And I asked him, I said, look, is there anybody back when you played that could compare to Tiger Woods? And of course, without hesitation, he said Jack Nicklaus. He said, in fact, Jack Nicklaus would have put the records that he set out of sight if he would have the equipment today that he had back then.
Big difference?
Huge difference. He said, huge difference. He said the brute strength. He goes, here's a guy that could have played fullback at Ohio State and still had the finesse of a short game. So
he could just crush the ball.
Absolutely. And, as great as Tiger Woods is, he didn't hesitate to say that no one compares to Jack Nicklaus.
All right, let's talk about more important stuff, where you make your living and where I love to come. Let's talk about this club at Shadow Lakes. You've done a lot of improvements. You continue to improve. This is an amazing public course that is more than reasonably priced. And if you're having an outing or anything, listen, why would anybody want to go anywhere else in this region? Do you think a lot of people still don't know this place is here?
I really do. The history of the course was that for most of its life it was a private course, and it changed hands a couple of times, but it's still not on the map. A lot of people still don't know of Shadow Lakes. It used to be called Beaver Lakes.
Right.
But even Beaver Lakes isn't that well known. And I think that people, when they do come here, they really enjoy themselves because for a club, a golf course, the terrain in western Pennsylvania, it isn't quite as rolling, hilly, and people love to have a somewhat flat golf course where you don't find anywhere else in
All right,
Pittsburgh.
give her some love. Janet Maganello Plasko, who's been holding her arms up for the last hour shooting these videos. She means so much. And this little grill that she has put together, it's quite a place.
Well, it really is. And she really...
Notice I'm looking at you because I can't look at her because I will start laughing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, Janet is the straw that stirs the drink. I mean, really and truly, it goes beyond just the grill room. She is involved as the director of golf at the pro shop. Upstairs, she's involved with all the weddings and different parties that they have. So she is really an integral part of this whole function at Shadow Lakes.
You know, Shadow Lakes is about the only place I've not had one of my weddings in Beaver County. A little bit, it's early. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so blessed to have this guy here, and tomorrow night we're going to stop back and talk more golf. Thanks for taking time out today. I really feel privileged.
Thank you. It's
Tell
always
me,
a pleasure.
Give me one Golden Bear story before I leave. I need a good Jack Nicklaus story.
A good Jack Nicklaus
because I'm going
story.
to Ohio. I got to work, so tell me. Give me one.
Okay. There was a time that when I was building Standard Club down in Alpharetta, Georgia, and he was building a course just down the street from us. And he had his design manager. He was in town for a couple of days. And he said on the third day of the walkthrough, true story.
Okay.
He says, he said, I've noticed this is the third day. He said, you've been wearing Golden Bear shirts. He said, every day it's been a different shirt. And he goes, those are expensive shirts. Do I pay you that much that you can have a different Golden Bear shirt for every day of the week? Honest to God, true story.
Let me tell you how plugged in my Jack Nicklaus. He now has the Golden Bear logo on some new clothes that are being sold at your neighborhood Target. So please stop in and give the guy a few bucks. He could use it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now for Elwood Willard and Janet and Rick and everyone, and of course Jimmy Maggs. Until tomorrow night, hit 'em straight, and good afternoon from the club at Shadow Lakes.
That's a wrap.